Welcome! This is the final explainer in our IFRS S2 series. We've talked about the what and the why, but today we're going to roll up our sleeves and get practical. We're focusing on the nitty-gritty of implementation and the tools you have to make it happen.
So, if you're looking at IFRS S2, maybe especially if you're an SME, this one's for you. We're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the deadlines and, more importantly, these things called transitional reliefs that the ISSB has built right in to make your first year way more manageable.
Here's what's on tap today. We'll start with the timeline, the key dates you've got to have on your radar. Then we'll get into what these reliefs actually are, dive into the two big ones, and wrap up by looking ahead at how to use this first year to set yourself up for success.
All right, first up, the timeline. Let's talk dates, because these really do affect your planning, starting, well, right now. Okay, so check this out. The standard officially went live on January 1st, 2024. But, and this is interesting, notice how the ISSB is already planning to tweak it. They're issuing some amendments at the end of 2025 that'll kick in come 2027. It just goes to show you that this is a living, evolving standard.
So let's be super clear on this. This isn't some far-off thing to worry about later. For a lot of you, especially if you run on a calendar year, your first reporting period under IFRS S2 is happening right now. The clock is ticking, which is exactly why you need to know about the help you can get.
Now, the ISSB knew that adopting a whole new standard like this is a heavy lift. So they built in some really practical help for your first year. Think of these as lifelines.
So what are these reliefs? Well, they're basically a structured on-ramp. They are temporary measures, just for the first year, designed to cut down on the complexity and cost while you're getting up to speed. They don't change where you're headed long-term, but they sure do make the start of the journey a lot smoother. And here's the best part, the flexibility. These are a one-time deal for your first annual report only. There are two main reliefs, and it's not an all-or-nothing choice. You can use one of them, both of them, or neither of them. It all depends on what makes sense for your company and how ready you are.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the first big relief. This one's all about how you measure your greenhouse gas emissions.
So here's a question for you. Maybe your company, especially if you're an SME, is already reporting emissions using a local or national standard. If that sounds familiar, well, the standard has a really practical, direct solution for you in year one.
You can see the side-by-side here. The final destination is using the GHG Protocol. But for that first year, this relief says, hey, you can just stick with the method you are already using. It means you don't have to build a whole new system from scratch on day one. It's a huge help. Let's make this real. Look at SME Corp. They've been using their national standard for years. For their first IFRS S2 report, they can just keep doing that. This buys them a full year to plan their switch over to the GHG Protocol without blowing up their current process. It's a super pragmatic bridge to get you to full compliance.
All right, on to the second relief, and honestly, for a lot of companies, this is the big one. This tackles the absolute beast that is value chain emissions.
Yep, you're seeing that right. Zero.
This relief is incredibly powerful. For your first year of reporting under IFRS S2, you can entirely omit your Scope 3 emissions disclosures. That means no data, no calculations, nothing. You just don't have to report it.
So why is that such a game changer? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Scope 3 is enormously complex. It's basically everything else in your entire value chain that isn't a direct emission from your company or from the energy you buy.
I mean, just look at this list, and this is only a sample of the 15 categories. We're talking about the emissions from making the stuff you buy, your employees driving to work, what customers do with your product, even what happens when they throw it away. Tracking all that data is a massive, massive job, and this relief gives you a full year to get your systems in place to do it properly.
So these reliefs are fantastic tools, but, and this is a big but, they are temporary. So let's talk about what happens after year one and how to build a smart, long-term strategy.
This is absolutely the key takeaway right here. This relief period, it's not a year off. It's a year to prepare. You're meant to use this time to build the systems, the processes, and the data-gathering muscle you're going to need for year 2 and beyond.
So think of this as your playbook. In year one, use the reliefs to make life easier. At the same time, you should be planning your move to the GHG Protocol and starting to figure out your strategy for that huge Scope 3 challenge. And of course, keep one eye on the horizon for those 2027 changes.
Okay, here's a quick technical point, but it's an important one for later.
When you get to year 2, you'll show your new, fully compliant data right next to your year 1 data for comparison. The standard says it's totally fine for that year 1 column to still show you used the relief. So if you omitted Scope 3, that column will just say so. It's all about being transparent as you get up to speed.
And really, that's what this all boils down to. The ISSB has given everyone a very practical, structured on-ramp for IFRS S2. These reliefs are designed to give you that crucial breathing room. So the critical question you need to be asking now is, how are you going to use it? Is your long-term plan ready to go?